If you are preparing for the Certified AML Specialist exam and you have not looked at the official exam handbook yet, stop everything and watch this video first. Most candidates spend weeks studying the wrong things in the wrong order, giving equal time to topics that carry completely different weights on the actual exam. My name is Majid. I hold multiple financial crime certifications, including Certified AML Specialist, CFCS, and CFE certifications, and have spent over 20 years in banking. In this video, I am going to walk you through the official Certified AML Specialist exam handbook, exactly what you are tested on, what each domain covers, how to allocate your study time, and the one mistake that causes candidates to fail when they were actually ready to pass. Everything in this video comes directly from the official candidate handbook. No guesswork. Let us get into it. The Certified AML Specialist exam has 4 domains, 120 questions. You have 3.5 hours. The passing score is 75, which means 62.5%. And critically, the questions are a mix of multiple choice and multiple selection. I will explain what that means in a moment. Domain A. Understanding the risks and methods of financial crime. This carries 30% of the exam. Domain B, Global AFC Frameworks, Governance and Regulations. This is 20%. Domain C, Building an Anti-Financial Crime Compliance Program. Also 30%, equal weight to Domain A. Domain D, Tools and Technologies to Fight Financial Crime. This is the remaining 20%. So Domain A and Domain C are your highest priority areas. Together, they make up 60% of your total exam score. If you are not allocating the majority of your study time there, you are losing marks before you even sit down. Study smarter, not just harder. Domain A is called Understanding the Risks and Methods of Financial Crime, and it carries 30% of your exam. This is where most candidates actually enjoy studying because it connects directly to real-world financial crime. You need to understand the full spectrum of financial crime, not just money laundering. That means AML, CFT, sanctions, fraud, anti-bribery and corruption, and tax evasion. The exam treats these as a connected ecosystem, not isolated topics. You need to understand predicate crimes, the underlying offenses that generate the criminal proceeds being laundered. Drug trafficking, corruption, fraud, human trafficking, these are the predicate offenses, and the exam expects you to link them to the money laundering typologies that follow. Domain A covers financial crime risks across virtually every sector: banking products, high-risk sectors, politically exposed persons, money services businesses, virtual asset service providers and crypto assets, real estate, insurance, gaming and gambling, gatekeepers, trusts, company service providers, and accountants. This is a broad domain. Do not try to memorize every detail of every sector. Instead, understand the common risk themes: anonymity, complexity, cross-border movement, and lack of regulatory oversight that make these sectors attractive to criminals. The exam tests your ability to recognize risk patterns, not recall lists. Domain B covers Global AFC Frameworks, Governance and Regulations, and carries 20% of the exam. This is the Regulatory and International Standards domain, and FATF sits at the center of it. You must understand the Financial Action Task Force, its role, its 40 recommendations, its mutual evaluation process, and how Financial Action Task Force regional bodies operate. Recommendation 10 on customer due diligence, Recommendation 16 on the travel rule for wire transfers and VASPs, Recommendation 20 on suspicious transaction reporting, and Recommendation 40 on international cooperation are consistently examined. The United Nations sanctions regime is also tested. How UN Security Council resolutions flow into national sanctions frameworks and how financial institutions implement them. You need to understand how regulators, law enforcement agencies, and financial intelligence units, or FIUs, cooperate both domestically and across borders. Cross-border money laundering investigations, mutual legal assistance treaties, and the Egmont Group are all relevant here. The US and EU regulatory frameworks are specifically called out in the handbook. FinCEN, the Bank Secrecy Act, Office of Foreign Assets Control, OFAC, the EU Anti-Money Laundering Directives. You do not need to be a legal expert on these, but you do need to understand their purpose, structure, and key requirements. One area that is increasingly examined is the broader legal environment: data privacy laws, ESG requirements, consumer protection, and financial inclusion. These intersect with AML and CFT compliance in ways that the modern compliance professional must understand. Domain C is building an anti-financial crime compliance program, and it also carries 30% of the exam. This is the most practical domain, and in many ways the one where experienced banking professionals have the biggest advantage, because it is directly about building and running the compliance frameworks we work in every day. You need to understand what makes an effective compliance program and the core pillars it must have. The 3 lines of defense model: first line business ownership, second line compliance oversight, third line internal audit, is fundamental and will appear on your exam. The risk appetite statement is examined: what it is, how to write it, and how to translate it into operational controls across the organization. Enterprise risk assessment: identifying inherent risk and assessing residual risk after controls is a major topic. KYC, CDD, and EDD are heavily tested. The purpose of each, when to apply enhanced due diligence, how to design customer risk assessments, and the controls required at onboarding and throughout the customer lifecycle. Transaction monitoring is a significant topic: how to design monitoring scenarios, set thresholds, identify suspicious activity, and make the Suspicious Activity Report, SAR, or Suspicious Transaction Report, STR, decision. The exam tests your judgment here: when to escalate, when to report, and how to document your investigation. Domain C also covers governance, management reporting, KPIs and KRIs for boards, committee structures, staff training, and the interaction between compliance and the front office. It covers de-risking and financial inclusion, responding to law enforcement requests, and tipping off rules. With 26 individual handbook topics, Domain C is the most content-heavy domain. Give it the time it deserves. Domain D covers tools and technologies to fight financial crime and carries 20% of the exam. This domain has become significantly more important in recent years, as technology has transformed how financial institutions manage AFC risk. Digital onboarding tools are examined: eKYC, facial recognition, liveness checks, biometrics, and geolocation. You do not need to be a technology expert, but you need to understand what these tools do, what risks they manage, and what their limitations are. Name screening and customer screening tools: how they work, how sanctions lists from UN, OFAC, and the EU are applied, how fuzzy logic handles name variations and transliteration, and how watch list management works. Transaction monitoring technology is examined in detail: rules-based approaches, scenario design, threshold setting, model risk management, and statistical testing. The exam also covers the evolution from rules-based to AI and machine learning-based monitoring, what this transition involves, and what to consider when making it. Perpetual KYC, adverse media screening, network analysis tools for identifying links to criminality, and open-source investigation tools are all in scope. And importantly, the handbook specifically asks you to understand what to consider when choosing the best AFC tool for your organization. This is a practical, judgment-based question about data quality, integration, operational effectiveness, and applying the risk-based approach to technology investment. Now, I want to flag something that catches candidates off guard on exam day, and it is something that most preparation guides do not explain clearly enough. The Certified AML Specialist exam has 2 types of questions: multiple choice, where you select the single best answer from 4 options. This is familiar to most people. But it also has multiple selection questions, where 2 or more answers are correct, and you must select all of them to receive the mark. Here is the critical point: partial credit is not awarded on multiple selection questions. If the question requires you to select 3 correct answers and you select 2 of them correctly, you receive 0 marks for that question. Not half marks, 0. Multiple selection questions will clearly state the instruction, something like select all that apply or select 2 answers. Read every question carefully before selecting anything. The practical implication for your preparation is this. You cannot just recognize a correct answer. You need to understand topics deeply enough to identify all correct answers confidently. This is why scenario-based practice questions are essential from day 1 of your preparation, not just in the final week. Do not let this surprise you on exam day. Prepare for both question types from the beginning. Now let us talk about how to actually allocate your study time based on the handbook weightage. I will use a 70-hour study plan as the reference. Adjust proportionally if your total hours are different. Domain A carries 30%. That is approximately 21 hours. This is your broadest domain, covering financial crime typologies, high-risk sectors, and products. Give it the time it deserves and do not rush through it. Domain B carries 20%, approximately 14 hours. Prioritize FATF recommendations, the US and EU regulatory frameworks, and how FIUs cooperate internationally. These topics appear consistently across exam questions. Domain C carries 30%, another 21 hours. This is your most practical domain and the one with the most individual handbook topics. KYC, CDD, EDD, transaction monitoring, and the SAR decision process are your highest priority areas within this domain. Domain D carries 20%, approximately 14 hours. Focus on understanding what the key tools do and what their limitations are. You do not need technical expertise. You need compliance judgment about when and how to deploy these tools effectively. One important point: do not study the domains in isolation. The exam is scenario-based, which means a single question might draw on domains A, B, and C simultaneously. Understanding how the domains connect is just as important as knowing each domain individually. The biggest mistake I see candidates make with the handbook is simple. They never look at it. They buy the study guide, they open chapter 1, and they start reading, cover to cover, for weeks. The study guide is over 400 pages. It contains enormous amounts of useful material. But the study guide is not the exam. The handbook is the exam. The handbook lists every single topic that can be examined. If a topic is in the handbook, it can, and probably will, appear. Here is what you should do instead. Download the official handbook. It is available free on the Association of Certified Anti-Money Laundering Specialists website as part of the Candidate Handbook. Print it. Put it in front of you. Use it as your study filter from the very first day. For every section of the study guide you read, map it back to the corresponding handbook topic. If you cannot find the handbook topic it relates to, consider whether that section needs deep study or just a passing read. After you study each handbook topic, test yourself on it. Can you explain it in plain English? Can you answer a practice question on it correctly? If yes, tick it off. If no, go back. Use the handbook as a checklist, a progress tracker, and your exam day confidence builder. Candidates who do this consistently outperform those who do not, regardless of how many hours they put in. Let me give you a practical 3-phase approach to using the handbook as your daily study system. Phase 1, weeks 1 and 2. Read and understand. Print the handbook. For every numbered topic, read the corresponding section in your study guide. Before you move on, write a 1-line summary of that topic in your own words. If you cannot write it in plain English, you have not understood it well enough yet. Phase 2, weeks 3 and 4. Test and identify gaps. For each handbook topic, attempt at least 25 practice questions. Mark each topic as red, failed, amber, unsure, or green, confident. Your only job in this phase is to turn every red and amber topic green. Go back and restudy anything that is not green before you move forward. Phase 3, Weeks 5 to 7. Mock exams and refine. Sit complete 120-question mock exams under real-timed conditions. After each mock, do not just note your overall score. Map every wrong answer back to the specific handbook topic and domain it came from. That tells you exactly where your remaining gaps are. Address those gaps specifically, not by rereading the entire guide. Only book your exam date when you are scoring 80% or above on 2 consecutive full mock exams. That is your signal that you are ready. Not a feeling, not a date on a calendar. Consistent performance on full mocks under timed conditions. One of the most common challenges candidates tell me about is this. They are studying late at night or early in the morning, they get stuck on a specific handbook topic, and there is no one to ask. The question sits unanswered, the uncertainty builds, and they move on without properly understanding it. This is exactly the problem AdviseCube e-learning course deployed on Coursebox solves. It is an AI tool trained specifically on exam material, available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, with no waiting and no scheduling. Working through Domain A and confused about how chain hopping works as a crypto money laundering typology? Ask AI Bot in the e-learning course prepared by AdviseCube. Stuck on Domain B trying to understand how FAT Recommendation 16 applies to VAS-Ps? Ask AI Bot. Need to understand the difference between CDD and EDD for Domain C? Ask AI Bot. Unclear how fuzzy logic works in sanction screening for Domain D? You get a clear, exam-focused answer immediately. No forum posts that go unanswered for days. No waiting for a trainer's office hours. The support is there the moment you need it. The link to AdviseCube e-learning Coursebox is in the description below. You now know exactly what the Certified Anti-Money Laundering Specialist exam tests. 4 domains, their weightages, the key topics within each, and how to build your study approach around the official handbook. The 3 things I want you to do right now. First, download the official candidate handbook and print the handbook. It is free. Do it today. Second, map your remaining study time to the domain weightings. 30% to Domain A, 20% to Domain B, 30% to Domain C, and 20% to Domain D. Let the handbook, not the study guide page count, drive how you spend your hours. Third, remember the question types. 120 questions, multiple choice and multiple selection, 3.5 hours, passing score 75 correct answers. Know what you are walking into before exam day. If you have not subscribed yet, please do. Every week I post content on exam preparation, financial crime typologies, AML career advice, and updates on CFE, CGSS, and emerging topics in the compliance space. And I want to hear from you. Comment below and tell me, which of the 4 domains do you find most challenging and why? I read every comment and it genuinely helps me plan future content. The link to AdviseCube e-learning course is in the description. 24/7 AI study support, no waiting, no scheduling. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next one.